Good morning and welcome to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. Along with producer Alden Iwani, I'm your host, Ed Nunez. Today's guest is the Cueva head baseball coach, Gerard Pineda. Coach, welcome to the program. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, Ed. It's always fun to be here and get to do these things with you guys, and I appreciate all you guys do for our high school athletes and promoting them, around the city and the state. It's awesome.
I'll tell you what, Coach, last year when you beat Hobbs in the state championship, I was actually the PA guy for that game. And I'll tell you what, I had a lot of fun. I think it being around athletics, and you've been around it a long time at the amateur level, when there's no money on the line or anything like, they're just playing for their will, man, for the determination. I think that's, to me, the best part of it all. I've been involved as an official, right? Basketball
Yeah.
official, as a coach. So I think being around these young kids, it keeps us young, right?
Oh, definitely. I celebrated a birthday recently, and it's hard to believe. Though my body kind of feels it, but mentally I think I'm still kind of young. But
how
yeah, it's
young,
great
Coach?
to be around those guys. We'll leave that topic for another day.
I've got one next Tuesday, and I keep telling myself, am I really, I'll be 60,
Oh God.
man. And I think when I say to myself, I don't feel, but my knees through all the basketball, oh man, and all the asphalt that we played on back in the day, all the bad
Right.
surfaces I officiated on, the rubber floors and concrete underneath. Yes, yes, you
You
do
know,
feel it.
that's a funny story. Coach Joyce did a really good job this year. Our basketball coach, he was a class of '91, I believe, and I was a class of '90. So people can probably start doing some math there. But as far as my age goes, but yeah, and he did a really good job. He brought back a lot of the alumni. So for one game, I think it was that last game against El Dorado here, and like AJ was here, and I think Jerome Espinosa was here, and a few other guys, you know, and I was telling him the story that when we first started, the school hadn't been built, but I played basketball for Coach Castillo, and we honored Coach Castillo that night, and we one of our first practices in the summer going into the fall of '86, which is the first year of the school, we did a summer league basketball practice on the cement courts out at Eisenhower Middle School, and those guys wouldn't believe me, and I had to turn around and talk to Coach Castillo and to confirm it. So yeah, I mean, a lot of years and doing whatever you needed to do to play, and you enjoyed it, and trying to still kind of give something back to these guys.
Well, that's all we had back then. Those were, and Coach Castillo back in the day, we'd always say the only coach the Cuevas ever had, right? And I've talked
Right.
to Coach Joyce. I know Coach Joyce real well. And Coach Joyce, you talk to him about basketball, it's like a 30-minute talk because him and I can talk about, he'll talk to you about defense, offense, inbounds plays, things like that. But I don't want to get too sidetracked. You know what? This is about you and your program. And coach this season so far, 15-1, 4-0. The usual excellence that's expected from La Cueva. You're a six-time state champion. You're defending champs from last year. You've got the pitching, the middle, the defense. Talk to us a little bit about this year's team because, again, Coach, you started out, and again, it's expected. And when you start winning like that, people expect excellence from La Cueva baseball. And we'll talk about how Mike McGaha has helped you out there, too, because what a boon having him as your assistant coach. But talk about this year's team, Coach, and let us know how La Cueva's doing so far.
Yeah, we've been playing pretty well. We've had a couple little hiccups or stretches where we didn't play so well, but that happens, with all teams. And yeah, the expectation every year is to put ourselves in a position to be able to compete for a state championship. And this year is obviously no different with the number of guys that we have returning from last year. That's where we kind of should be, I believe. And our guys have done a good job. We've got really good pitching from Grayson Long and Tyler Mania to Matthew Dene and Max McGaha, Coach McGaha's son. Those guys have all thrown the ball really well. Offensively, Akili Karras is having a really good year. I think Coach McGaha was mentioning yesterday he's got like 11 doubles and two triples and 5 home runs already, and hitting over 500. But It's good. He's just kind of keep continuing to do what he did last year. And then Ronan Hella has really done a good job. It's kind of like that Cleveland game last year. Something kind of switched with him. He's offensively, he's been a different player since then. David Cooper is providing a lot of pop, and Matthew Dene. It's fun to watch him swing the bat because he hit a ball the other day that off the bat it was a no doubter, which doesn't happen that much in high school anymore with bats. But our offense has kind of been clicking, and we've been scoring quite a few runs, and hopefully that trend continues.
Coach, have you noticed again the victory over Hobbs last spring in the state championship? And I believe was it Magaha, your pitcher? He came out in the seventh inning. The whole team went out and got on the mound. Talk to us about that moment, because I'll tell you, I was doing PA and I was real touched by that moment, man, because it was the whole team went out there and went and got him.
Yeah, with what Max and Coach McGaha and their family have gone through in the last couple of years, Max got really sick as a freshman. Early in his freshman season, he was up at Piedra Vista, and Coach Mike was not coaching that year. They spent basically the whole school year in a hospital of some sort. That was here at UNMH, or they're up at Denver Children's for quite a while. So, when Mike and I had been in talks kind of all year, while they were in the hospital, I visited them a few times here, but about coaching again, and if things worked out, I'd love to be able to coach with him. We've been friends for a long time, so knowing the background, and then Max, 2020 was the COVID year, and Max was just kind of getting going, and last year he was still getting his sea legs going, so to speak. But that championship game, we really didn't expect him to be able to go that long. We were hoping, one time through the order, 3 innings, and then be able to go to somebody else. And he had a little trouble in the second, but just was mowing guys down, and he feels good. His pitch count was relatively low because he hadn't had a whole lot of work that year. And but as far as to your question, with what they had gone through, I usually make the pitching changes. Coach McGaha will go and do the strategic stuff, or if he sees something with a guy. But that one, and Mike makes a lot of the pitching decisions. I'll override if I need to, but that usually doesn't happen. And with that one, I was like, it was very appropriate for Mike to make that change, and it was a touching moment.
It was
to see them to hug it out, and all the guys with their feelings for Max, and proud to be part of the program, and so you saw that outpouring as he was coming back towards the dugout. So it was a fun day.
Oh, it was. And you still there, audio wise?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just keep talking until you get your video back up.
I'm getting there we go. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
I don't have Zoom on my desktop, so I'm on my phone and I got a call, so I apologize.
Oh, sometimes those things happen. Coach, you were also a student assistant coach at Benedictine College, 1996-2001, assistant coach at Coach She's College, 2001-2004, and assistant coach at El Paso CC in Texas, 2004-2005, interim head coach at El Paso CC, 2006-2007, assistant coach at New Mexico Junior College, and then 2007-2008, a volunteer assistant coach at the University of New Mexico, and since 2009, president coach of La Cueva High School. That's quite a lot of experience before you got to La Cueva. Talk to us a little bit about how that experience developed you. And again, Coach, 6-time champion, man, you're expected to be in the thick of things again this season. You already are. You will be. Talk to us a little bit about how that developed your baseball philosophy and techniques and coaching and the things you learned along the way.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wasn't a great player, but I just loved the game, and I knew early on. I mean, probably even before I graduated high school, that I wanted to coach. It just was, I'd play baseball as long as I could, but pro ball really wasn't a, a realistic avenue for me to continue my baseball career. So the coaching side always appealed to me, and I was very lucky. I played for some really good guys and really good baseball men, and so I had just really good experiences along the way. And the things that I learned from them, and really kind of the game within the game, whether it's predicting tendencies and pitching out on a kid stealing, or being able to go hit and run or whatever. It's fun when those things work out, and I will say that I definitely put, the kids are the ones that play, so you're only as good as the talent that you have, and we're very fortunate here to have exceptional talent year in and year out. But then as far as an assistant coach, I got to coach with some really good guys too, and learned a lot from them that have kind of filtered into my philosophy. And it's you take a little bit from here and a little bit from there and make it your own, and and then you just kind of see how that works. And I think it's always a work in progress. One of the reasons I really wanted to have Coach Magaha come on our staff was, I saw what he did with his guys up at Piedra Vista, and the one thing that always impressed me, because we used to scrimmage each other every spring until, even his last year, and until they came into our district recently. And when you see a kid as a freshman or a sophomore, and then see him as a senior, the amount of improvement that he was able to do with his players, and especially his pitchers, I was like, we need to do that here, because, as you know, in any successful organization, if you just stand pat and go status quo, there's a good chance people are going to pass you by. So hiring Mike for me was a step in, kind of trying to find something that we need to do a little bit different to try to maintain our edge. And we've had great pitching coaches. I've been blessed with that, because that's not my forte, and I'd rather not deal with those guys. We get a guy in there to handle the pitchers, and we have that success.
I'll tell you what, that takes a big person to admit that, right? Because coaches have egos. We've all got egos, right? So that you would admit that, I got to give you that. Coach, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about this year's version of the Cueva Bears after these messages on the Sports Desk.
Schoolcraft, goes through the middle. One run will score. Is that ball? Gavin Hoffman in front of Schoolcraft, goes through the middle. One run will score as that ball hops off the wall. 2 runs will score. Schoolcraft will slide in at second base. That's a nice fastball, 86. It's going to drop. Oh, what a play! Tristan Thomas with the sliding catch. Stolen base attempt. That throw is in time. The tag is in time. And there's the out. Satish Raichor with the big arm. Ball will be gone. 3-run shot, and the Volcano Vista Hawks respond to the home run with one of their own. Anna Armijo goes the distance. Slap that ball out to right field. Diving play made by Edith Chavez for out number 2.
That's laced him well to left field. That could be gone.
Gone.
It is. for Ricky Henderson. Well, I'll tell you what, Henderson laced that one and hit it very well. Left fielder Jonathan Silva took a look. He never had a chance. That ball was gone right over Silva's head in left field for a two-run home run for Henderson, who's got a double, a triple, and a home run today.
He is a stud.
With 4 RBIs.
He's had a great game.
He sure has.
Molina awaiting the rescue offering. Uh-oh. Kiss that one goodbye. Ty Molina. I was going to say into the night, except we're just afternoon. But a 3-run home run by Ty Molina.
Stolen base number 3 for Tristan Thomas. Steal third. The throw is in time, but he knocks it out, and Carlsbad will walk off on the Tristan Thomas double steal.
There it is, Vasquez Smith with the walk-off, and that's game. Vasquez Smith, let's just call it.
We saw that coming from Matt Mabry as well. Oh, blasted to left field. It's gone. One man comes across, 2 men come across. It's a grand slam. There's 3, and Gavin Hoffman in front of a nice stadium here. A grand slam at the Sal Puentes.
For certified collision and body repair, visit the experts at Car Crafters. 5 locations in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho. Visit carcrafters.com.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. Welcome back to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. Special guest today, the Cueva baseball coach, Gerard Pineda. And, you know, Coach, we've had some good talking even during the break about Coach McGaha. You know, and again, it was a boon getting Coach McGaha, but you work with some other great coaches as well. You know, all credit to Coach McGaha. But during this, you took over in the Cueva from the head baseball job in 2009, and 6 state championships later. Again, all credit to Coach McGaha, but you worked during your tenure at La Cueva with some excellent baseball coaches as well.
Most definitely. You know, it's the hope is, I think, and I had this conversation with my son the other day. You know, whenever you are in a situation, a program, an organization, you know, your job is to, you know, hopefully leave it better when you leave than when you got there. And that's pretty tough to do. You know, Coach McGeever had this thing rolling pretty well. You know, they had won 5 state championships in, I don't know, I think it was like 7 or 8 years. And so our goal was to, you know, to continue that success and that tradition. It's a little extra special for me because, I was a freshman the year this school opened in the fall of 1986, and we didn't have a baseball field. And, we had to travel to Eastdale Little League when it's where the Century is now, the movie theater, and we practiced
Wow.
at Eastdale. And people were kicking the crap out of us, and it wasn't a whole lot of fun, and some other people were poking fun at us. So, I think, to see where the programs come, and it was a matter of time, right? Just because that first year we didn't have seniors, and then we're trying to, feel our way through it. But, the coaches that we've tried to always pride ourselves on hiring, good people first, and then, good baseball people as well. And I think I'll put my coaching staff, any one of them, over the last 13 years against any staff in the state for sure, and several that, from surrounding states that we know what we're doing. We can teach our kids what they need to do to move on, and so many of our kids move on, and I think they're very well prepared to play in college baseball, but also for whatever their next chapter may be. Obviously, that's the most important part of our job, is preparing them for life and teaching them life's lessons, whether they want to hear them right now or not.
It's true, because I'll tell you what, a lot of those lessons, when you're young like that, you don't want to hear them, right? And then later in life, you're like, man, hey, what Coach said, it comes back, right? Yeah. It's like, hey, whatever he said was absolutely right. I got a quote from you from somebody that knows you. His teams were well coached. They didn't beat themselves. Good competitors. A lot of fun playing them over the years. And that was from retired El Dorado head coach Jim Johns. Had that quote about you, and you beat them in the state. He told me to tell you hello, by the way.
Coach Johns is awesome. I mean, he was coaching there when I was in high school. So I had a lot of mutual friends that played at El Dorado for him. So I've known Coach Johns since I was a kid myself, and for him to say that is truly an honor, because obviously if anybody knows the game of baseball in the state, it's him, and that we try to do that. I mean, if we can take care of our business, and we say this a lot, it's not so much what the team in the other dugout does, it's what we do, and if we make errors and walk people and provide them extra opportunities, that's a recipe to get yourself beat. And for the most part, we've been able to when we do come up on the short end, the other team has earned it rather than we've given some things away. So that means a lot.
That's one thing about Coach Johns, Coach, Hall of Fame, a baseball guy, right, for sure. A Hall of Fame person. Just anytime I talk to that guy, all the class in the world, right? He used to keep score at El Dorado when I was reffing, and he always had a good, word to say, and just a good man.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And it's I've looked at my career oftentimes, and I'm like, obviously people are different, and I can't coach exactly the way Coach Johns did, but it's something to strive for, because he is definitely the gold standard of high school baseball coaches, in my opinion, in this state, and will continue to be.
You know what? You are too. And I think one of the things that you mentioned was very important to me. And, I listen a lot, and I watch sports all the time. You're not going to beat yourselves. That's the thing. People know when they play La Cueva, right? You're probably not going to outpitch a pitcher your way out of it. Pitcher's not going to walk 5 dudes or hit guys. Pitching's important. Defense is important. You mentioned your batters at the plate hit the cover off the ball, right? They're raking. That's important. So when you play La Cueva, you're going to have your hands full. You mentioned 15-1 overall, 4-0 in district. Finished third in the Metro tournament on an 8-game winning streak. Now here's important, Coach. You mentioned this. Scored 179 runs in 16 games, averaging 11.2 runs per game. Allowed just 32 runs, 2.0 runs per game. So that kind of formula there, that's a tough one to beat. And let's go over your scores here. 5-2 over Sandia, which you've got a doubleheader. I'm going to call that game, and that's I'm looking forward to that one. Win against St. Pius 10-3. Trisco Heritage 20-2. Valley, a close one, 2-1. Rio Grande 13-3 with Orlando Griego. Congratulations to him. He won his 400th. Highland 19-1. Cibola 20-2. Volcano Vista won a little glitch. Lost 3-2. They only scored 3 runs. That game, you only scored 2. 6-2 a win over Sandia. So you beat Sandia twice. And Chris Eaton, a great coach himself. A win against Volcano Vista 2-1. Volcano Vista again 13-2. Blank West Mesa 13-0. So those have been your scores so far. And then a win over West Mesa again 18-1. Manzano blanked them 8-0. Piedra de Vista 12-7. Piedra de Vista again 16-2. So you mentioned the formula, right? You're pitching the heck out of the ball, and the one time that you lose, it's a 3-2. You only score 3. You only score 2 when they score 3. So it's not as if somebody's blown you out of the park.
Right. And in that game is kind of what we were talking about just a second ago. That's kind of the one game that we made just far too many mistakes, whether it was I think we made an error that led to at least one unearned run that I recall. But the flip side of that was we had second and third with less than 2 outs on at least 2 occasions, and we weren't able to score. So, that's one of those that if we get beat, I'm going to go home and I'm going to sleep well. It's the games that we lose that are tough to swallow, and so and you're not going to be perfect all the time. And our kids were pretty upset, and they haven't really been in that situation all that often. So it was good to experience that. Not that anybody wants to lose, but in 13 years I've never had a team go undefeated, except 2020 we were 5-0. But never had a team go undefeated, and I think the losses can be very valuable if the lessons you've learned, you can, make sure that you don't make those mistakes later on. And so, hopefully, we've accomplished that. And as we move forward, the other thing is so the 2-1 game against Volcano Vista was kind of, the same thing. Very well pitched game on both ends, as the first meeting was, and they were able to make a mistake that allowed us an unearned run that game, and and that's kind of the difference. So, if you can limit the base runners and limit the extra outs, and you make them earn their way to a victory, and again, they do that, tip your cap, and that's the game.
You got Cleveland tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
And then Sandia in a doubleheader on Saturday. And again, you've got to take one game at a time. Cleveland's got a flying team under Coach Schellenberg, very good team. And then Sandia, we mentioned last year, the doubleheader with Sandia was huge last year.
Right.
Decided the district, right? Decided the district.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, and then it turned out that we ended up losing the district title last year. And we got beat by El Dorado at the last game of the season, and so Sandia's only 2 losses, I believe, were to us. We ended up with 3 losses, but again, we made a few too many mistakes at that point. But as far as the scheduling this year, we got a little bit more freedom to make our own schedule. So we want to play the best, and we want to get Rio Rancho on our schedule and Cleveland on our schedule, and see what we can do to get a Carlsbad or Centennial, to find out, okay, how good are we, and put ourselves in tough situations. And scheduling wise, probably wasn't the brightest idea to play Cleveland on Wednesday and turn around and have a doubleheader with your rival on Saturday. But this was the weekend that worked for Coach Schallenberger. They have that open spot in their schedule on Friday, so they play a Trisco today, and we get them tomorrow. And just the way that it worked out. But to keep yourself sharp and prepare yourself for the last 5 games of the season in the state tournament, you got to test yourself, and so that's what we're going to do this week, and hopefully we can come out with 3 wins. But again, one at a time. And right now our focus is on tomorrow night at Cleveland at 6:00.
Coach Gerard Pineda, the Cueva boys baseball coach, we sure appreciate you joining us, and I'll see you on Saturday for the doubleheader at the Cueva.
Appreciate it, Ed. Thanks again, and love doing it, and thanks for doing this for the kids.
Oh, you bet. No problem at all. For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.